For this part of the tutorial for 3D third-person action game, we will be covering enemy movement as well as enemy behaviors through scripts, as well as the animations that come alongside it. We will talk about how they interact with one another in terms of health points in another tutorial, but here we'll just talk about how enemies move and how they behave in the game. So here we have a zombie mob, and we are going to go to the script. So here is the script. These are variables. This determines the player, so whoever the player character is. This is the movement speed, the range in which the character attacks you, the cooldown, how long it takes before the zombie can attack again, and the rotation speed for following you. A gizmo is essentially a guide in the editor that's only shown within the edit scenes view, but not in the game. And these private variables are for the animation. So first we have to call the animator. So we go back to the game object and we can open the animator. Here we have a similar looking state machine, except we use more because it is a computer controlled game object. It has a lot of transitions that depend on the parameters. So the zombie idle is just when the zombie is not doing anything and it'll just keep moving, standing still. And this is the default, which the state machine will default back. This will start with this as the moment the game object is instantiated or spawns, and then it goes to the walk. The walking is a transition that goes to that when the movement speed is greater. So move speed is also a parameter here, and the attack happens when attack trigger, and it goes back to the walk animation when it is not moving. So we assume that the zombie will follow you still when you are close to it, because there's a detection range. And it'll go back to idle when it's not following you anymore. So it goes back to the idle upon the zombies that stops walking. So when the movement speed is less than 0, less than let's say 0.1, 0.2, stop moving. And then the death is when the condition is dead through the trigger. So back to the code. We first have to initialize the animator here. So it sets everything to 0. Then is dead is essentially a boolean, which is called. It is part of the thing, and if there's no player, it will set the movement speed to 0 and just keep it that way. So the distance to player is essentially a distance from the player object to the player, which is here. And if the character is not attacking, it will just move towards it. Meaning, if it detects it, but it's not close enough to attack, it will just move towards it. So move towards is essentially code that makes the game object look towards the player, and then it will move to you. So by just dragging itself with a smooth movement by using the transform position and adding the direction, multiplying the move speed and the time at the time, and then math-lerp just makes it smoother for the movement speed to be smooth. And this animator set float is the parameter used for the game to detect movement, and therefore when the current move speed is more than 0, which means movement is happening, it will trigger the walk animation from idle. So here, greater than 0. Alright, so it will go to move towards player when it is close enough but not close enough to attack. Next is the attack. So the attack here, this is not yet for this does not trigger attacks and deals health point damage. This is more of the animation part. We will tackle interaction with the scripts and the health points in another video, the tutorial. It will first get the boolean is attacking, which will trigger the animation here, and that's a trigger. This is also a boolean so that it checks whether or not you're attacking, and the current movement speed will be 0 because we want the character to stay still when it's moving and not move. So when it stops moving, it will attack, and it will, upon doing the animation, it will do the coroutine, which is attack completion. A coroutine, it essentially just gets the amount of time. It is for methods that require a specific amount of time, set time. So if I want something to happen in a second or 2 or 0.1 second, it will do that. So, and here, while the attack is completing, it will not do the attack. So this doesn't trigger anything yet with the current move, which is for animation. And lastly is the die animation. For now, there's no die yet because there's no interaction. We will see this in another tutorial, how the death animation works. And the gizmos essentially just get the range in terms of the view. So as you can see here in the scene view, the character has 2 circles. It's spheres that signalize the range. So these ranges are spheres that get the radius and the position. So the position is the center of the game object, and the radius is dependent on the range, which is dependent on the range in the first few variables. So if we go to the game and run it, so for better we can see, let's deselect first. The zombie has an idle animation. We click it and we look at animation, doing the idle animation. Now if we move forward for 1 second, now if we move forward, I'll just adjust the set camera. Right, if you move forward, oh sorry, there we go. So if we move to the yellow, oh sorry, I forgot to put the adjust this. So player here, that nose. If you move close enough, it's going to move, and it's moving very fast. And upon being close enough, it will trigger the attack animation. See, it keeps doing that. There, it follows me, it does the moving animation, and it does idle but moving far enough. So that covers the enemy computer controlled animations. As mentioned a while ago, the values of the characters can be adjusted in the editor inspector. So if I want to be very slow and I wanted to detect me faster, so let's see if I want to make it move very slow, like very slow, and then I want the detection range to be a bit further or shorter actually, and I actually want to like 1.5, and then I make the detection higher, like 5 or 4. So here we can run the game again, and we'll see that the character moves upon moving, so it moves slower now, and it's doing the walk animation, and upon if it's close enough, it will attack. Here we go. Attack again. There we go. That's for the computer controlled game objects within the 3D third person action game.